The United States, European Union and several Arab nations issued a joint call for a temporary ceasefire in Lebanon. The 12-strong bloc proposed an immediate 21-day pause in fighting to provide space for diplomacy towards the conclusion of a diplomatic settlement and a ceasefire in Gaza, while Lebanese Prime Minister welcomed the 21-day truce plan. US President Joe Biden says it was important that the war in West does not widen when asked about the Lebanon crisis. His comments come on the release of a joint statement by the US and France, which called for an immediate 21-day ceasefire in Lebanon. Speaking to reporters at the White House, he said that the ceasefire proposal was able to generate major support from Europe as well as the Arab nations. Israel's UN ambassador, Danny Danon, told the Security Council that his country is not seeking a full-scale war with Lebanon. He explained that Israel has the right to defend itself. He further said that Tel Aviv was under attack and Hezbollah was to be blamed for the escalation of violence. He reaffirmed Israel's commitment to Security Council resolution that ended the 2006 Israeli-Hezbollah war. As the war between Israel and Hezbollah increases, Australia has urged an estimated 15,000 of its citizens living in Lebanon to leave. It has flagged a risk that Beirut airport may close and the difficulty of evacuating large numbers of citizens if the situation worsens in the region. This comes as Israel widened its airstrikes in Lebanon, and Israel's military chief said that a ground assault was possible. Hamas, in a Telegram post, has said that a convoy of Israeli vehicles has been ambushed in Rafah. The group said that the Al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas, targeted the vehicles on the supply line of the Israeli forces east of Rafah city. In video released by Hamas, tanks and other vehicles were seen rolling down the streets and they were seen being hit by the missiles. Former US President Donald Trump has accused Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky of refusing to make a deal to end the war with Russia. In critical remarks made at a campaign rally in North Carolina, Trump said that the US continues to give billions of dollars to a man who refuses to make a deal. Trump's comments come ahead of the Ukrainian leader's White House meeting with US President Joe Biden. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury on criminal charges that are still sealed. The indictment on Wednesday night marks a stunning fall for Adams, a Democrat who won election nearly 3 years ago to become the second black mayor of the nation's largest city. For much of the last year, Adams faced growing legal peril with multiple federal investigations into top advisors, producing a drumbeat of subpoenas, searches and high-level departures. Five people were injured in an explosion in a courtroom in the Santa Maria Courthouse in California. According to the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, the suspect, a 20-year-old man, was detained following the explosion. He is being suspected of setting off an explosive device in the lobby of the courthouse. Santa Barbara Sheriff Craig Bonner said the suspect had been arrested for illegal gun possession. Mexico's landmark monument to the revolution in the Plaza de la República has been illuminated with the names of the 43 students from a rural school on the eve of the 10-year anniversary of their disappearance. The Ayotzinapa students believed to have been massacred. They represent one of Mexico's worst human rights atrocities in a country where drug violence has left over 100,000 people missing. So far, the remains of only 3 of the victims have been identified through genetic testing of bone fragments. Taiwan says 43 Chinese aircraft and 8 naval vessels detected around the island in a 24-hour period. Movements come as a Japanese warship cruised through the sensitive Taiwan Strait. The latest incursions come as the Japanese media reported that a warship sailed through the Taiwan Strait for the first time to assert its freedom of navigation. The Central African justice system has announced the arrest of the leader of the rebel faction PRNC. It said that the chief of Bangui is being probed for serious human rights violations claimed by his armed group. Pope Francis will be visiting Luxembourg before heading to Belgium today on a trip to the heart of Europe. He is expected to discuss the continent's role in the world. According to Cardinal Secretary of State Pietro Parolin, Pope Francis will bring the foresight of support and the courage to embrace the future. He noted that one reason for the visit is to celebrate the 600th anniversary of the Catholic University of Leuven in Belgium. Afghanistan's Taliban government is facing multinational legal action over its discrimination against women. It could end up in the UN's top court over its contempt for the right of women and girls. Australia, Canada, Germany and the Netherlands have announced that they are initiating the proceedings, which could lead to a hearing at the International Court of Justice in The Hague. The mayor of Quito, Pablo Munoz, has declared an emergency in the Ecuadorian capital due to deadly fires that have besieged the region at a time when a historic drought has stretched resources and patience of the people. Munoz said that the decision had been taken together with the Metropolitan Emergency Committee and that the capacities of the capital city had not been exceeded despite the intensity of the fires. An increasingly powerful hurricane threatening catastrophic dangerous storm surges and flooding is forecast to smash into Florida's Gulf Coast. Thousands of residents have evacuated towns there along the U.S. state shoreline. Heavy winds and rain have battered Marco Island ahead of Hurricane Helene's landfall. residents of the Cuban fishing town of Guanamar wade through flooded streets with water coming up to their thighs after Hurricane Helene hit the region. Locals say that the situation is familiar as in previous hurricanes. Flooding lasted up to 4 days. Hurricane Helene's threat of widespread flooding, rains and high winds has prompted the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to issue a rare alert. Before the storm's effect will not be limited to the Gulf Coast and is expected to travel hundreds of miles inland. Meta Platforms, the parent company of Facebook, has unveiled its inaugural working prototype of augmented reality glasses named Orion at its annual Connect conference held in California. The tech giant introduced these AR glasses alongside enhancements to its current virtual reality and AI offerings. Well, according to reports, Meta plans to deliver its first commercial AR glasses to consumers by 2027. Vienna-based advocacy group NOYB has filed a complaint with the Austrian Data Protection Authority against Mozilla. Now, the accusations that the Firefox browser maker is tracking user behavior on websites without their consent. It's reported that the browser has enabled a so-called privacy-preserving attribution feature that turns the browser into a tracking tool for websites without directly telling its users. While this may be less invasive than unlimited tracking, it still interferes with users' rights under the EU's privacy laws. Italy's antitrust agency has launched an investigation into a Dublin-based company that manages the Italian website of online clothing retailer Shein due to possible misleading environmental claims on the site. Now, the accusations that the company is trying to convey an image of production and commercial sustainability through generic, vague and misleading environmental claims. Additionally, Shein's website appears to emphasize a commitment to decarbonization. However, it seems to be contradicted by the increase in greenhouse gas emissions, which are shown in Shein's sustainability reports for 2022 and 2023. Japanese firm Nintendo will next week open a museum where it will showcase its history. Fans of Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda and the Game Boy and Switch can gain insight into one of the world's most renowned game makers. Located in Uji near the company's Kyoto headquarters, the museum underscores the many evolutions of Nintendo, which was founded in 1889 as a maker of Hanafuda playing cards. Meanwhile, the iconic devices, the visitors will be able to see lesser known products and enjoy a range of interactive experiences. China is mulling injecting up to 1 trillion yuan of capital into its biggest state banks. The stimulus aims to increase the capacity to support the struggling economy. The funding will mainly come from the issuance of new special sovereign bonds. The details have yet to be finalized and are subject to change. Such a move would be the first time since the global financial crisis in 2008 that Beijing has injected capital into its big banks. SpaceX is proposing to invest $15 billion in Vietnam tied to its Starlink, which is the Starlink satellite service, in the near future. The government confirmed this, citing a meeting between the company's senior vice president, Tim Hughes, and the Communist Party's General Secretary, Tu Lam. Vietnam's government said last year that SpaceX was interested in providing the country with its low Earth orbit satellite service. Earlier this year, Reuters reported that those plans were put on hold. According to the Vietnamese statement, the nation will coordinate with domestic partners to complete investment procedures. Job vacancies in Australia fall for 9th straight quarter in the 3 months to end August. Declines are spread across most industries as demand for labour cooled. Job openings were down 17.1% from a year earlier. This is the lowest level since August 2021, but still 45% higher than just before the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Vacancies fall in 11 of 18 industries, with the largest percentage falls in accommodation and food services and manufacturing sector. ChatGPT maker OpenAI is working on a plan to restructure its core business into a for-profit benefit corporation that will no longer be controlled by its non-profit board. Chief Executive Sam Altman will also receive equity for the first time. The equity could be worth $150 billion after the restructuring, as it also tries to remove the cap on return for investors. Non-profit will continue to exist and own a minority stake in the for-profit company. The move could also have implications for how the company manages AI risks in a new governance structure.